Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today on FilmBhais. We are going to be discussing RRR and going through what makes the movie great, and also we will be discussing the downsides of it. But all in all, the movie's great, and we are going to love sharing our opinions with you today.
Yeah, so this episode went a bit out of hand, didn't it? So once we started talking, we ended up analyzing every aspect of the movie. So this conversation went on for 3 hours, so we'll be releasing this in parts. So feel free to leave any comments on what you thought about the analysis. And overall, we're going to have even more to say about RRR. We spoke for 3 hours, but I don't think we covered everything, did we?
No,
we probably have more to say, right?
Yes, yeah. That's a lot more. And even now, thinking of it, I'm disappointed we missed a couple of bits. But like I said, there's a lot, and we're going to be doing this release in segments. So don't worry if you don't find something that you've heard in the first segment, you will find it in other segments. So do stay with us and listen till the end.
Yes. All right, let's get into it. But okay, let's do this, man. Let's go into spoilers for RRR. All right. You start, man. You start. So tell me about your first experience. You know when you shot the first shot, like none of the action set pieces. What was that experience like for you?
I was just, waiting for. I didn't know what to expect. This is the first thing I would say. I went in, I didn't know what to expect. So at first I'm thinking, when is the story going to start? And as I'm watching it, I'm like, that thought went away, and I was just focusing on the character, and I was just going along with them, and I was seeing how it was introduced, and I'm just like, wow, the setting is nice, and just the way everything was, the world was being shown. I'm like, I'm liking this, and that's how I got into it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see how it goes, and I'm just like, forget it, because I've seen Junior NTR movies. I know what to expect from his brand. I know what to expect from Ramcharan's brand, and these are like, big stars who make action movies, and they're known for, their actions and their dialogue. And even then, I'm like, it's subtle, but I'm just watching it. And then, oh my God, just when it kicks in, I'm like, brilliant. I mean,
what was that bit? What was the bit that kicked in for you?
It was just the entry scenes of each of them, man. I'm like, damn.
The first thing that caught my attention was when that woman got hit on the head with the freaking branch. I was like, what am I watching right now? Because that is not a common way to start an Indian movie. You do not kill someone. I mean, it turns out that she wasn't dead in the end in the post-credit scene, but I thought she was dead. Like that branch got destroyed, so I assume her skull got destroyed. When that happened, I was like, okay, all right, we're going hard with the violence, and then it happened. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the triple R's. Okay, so we have the story, we have the fire, and then we have the water. I mean, we all know why it was called RRR, so I'm not going to get into that, but that was like completely forced. Like none of those words start with the freaking letter R. They were like, we'll just fit that R into story right there. Yeah, story R. Yeah, okay, that R goes there. What I liked was Rajamouli kind of went, look, the story is not that important. The story is just this bit, okay? It's literally going to take place in 5 minutes. This is the whole story. There's a little girl who gets kidnapped, and then that's it. Moving on. That's how efficient he is with the storytelling.
Yeah, but hold on. You know why it's called RRR, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, okay, in case the audience does not know RRR, why it's called RRR is freaking hilarious, man. Okay, so when Rajamouli wanted to make the film, he had those two actors in his mind, so Ramcharan and NTR, and he basically invited them over to his house, pitched the idea to them, and both of them said yes. He took a picture with both of them sitting on a sofa. He tweeted it, and then he just did hashtag RRR. So it would be Rajamouli, Ramcharan, and NTR. So RRR. Like three giants of that industry coming together. It was just it's a working title. It's just to get the people like excited and all that stuff. Oh my God, like three people coming together. It'd be great. And then I think in the original tweet, he says, this is not the name of the movie. This is just the working title. Just so they will have something to refer it to, as opposed to calling it, the movie that Rajamouli is doing with NTR and Ramcharan. It's like a long thing. This is RRR. And the audience loved that title so much, they were like, no, that's the name of the movie now. And when so Rajamouli, when he tried to change the name of the movie, they were like, "No, what are you doing? Like, we already have a name. Why do you want to make a name for a movie that's already there?" It makes no sense. So just for public demand, they decided to call it RRR. Then they had to force Rise, Roar, Revolt, and then there were the
But it worked though. I'm like, at least they came up with something.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, come on, dude. It's a bit forced. No, it's a bit. I mean, I will forgive it, whatever. But it's not a good marketing name. It's a great marketing name in India, or not even India. In South India, if you know all those three people, you know what the movie's called. But outside of India, when I saw the name RRR, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is what? How am I supposed to say this? I just didn't have any clue. But I will forgive that because the movie is so good. Whatever. But anyway, the forcing of the R into story, forcing of the R into fire, forcing of the R into water, I was like, what are we doing here? This is silly. But the second time I watched it, dude, there's so much information in that first scene. So the first scene starts with a little girl singing a song. The first time I watched it, cute little song, whatever. Second time I watched it, that song tells you so much. Tells you that she's singing about the mother, she's singing about nature, and she's singing about what it's like to live in the wild, free, listening to birds singing, lying on the mother's lap. You can tell the connection that the kid has with the mother and the forest in general, and that gets that across. And the next
freedom in general, because all of that is basically free in the wild.
Yeah, the appreciation of life, appreciation of everything that's around. And the next shot you see is that Scott guy coming in and killing a bunch of deers. So quickly, Rajamouli also shows, whereas these guys really appreciate life, these people do not. They're like indiscriminately killing. It's not like one deer. He's killed like freaking a dozen deers and just like threw them on the floor as trophies. So again, disregard for life completely. And he sets that up only to go onto the next part of the scene where they just take that kid away, like completely disconnecting him.
But this is where it comes down to the art of storytelling.
Exactly. So efficient.
Tell, but also you don't have to do everything verbally. So
exactly.
The song, that's using a different medium.
Yeah.
And if you listen to it, you know the meaning. Then the visual, just action speaks louder than words.
Beautiful.
Just the way he did it. And I'm like, that's the beautiful thing. And the thing is, he's introduced both the pros and cons, and he's introduced both the character sides, and then you can see what the film is fighting against. Just the introduction there.
Yeah. And then the monologue comes of that Scott guy, which is repeated 3 times, which is the price of an English bullet. Beautiful. Cheesy as hell, but beautiful. I love that line. It's so over the top. It just shows how cruel he is, how insignificant he thinks life is around him. And he gets that across through that one line. And that tells you about that character so quickly and then efficiently and moves on.
Yeah. Total disregard for any Indian life.
Yeah.
It's not even worth wasting a bullet on.
Yeah.
Piece of metal.
Lovely. Yeah. Like a simple shorthand way of showing this is the bad guy. Just in case you had any doubt, this is the bad guy. All right, moving on. That's it. And then he goes to the fire sequence. So, okay, let's talk about the fire sequence. That's the action sequence, right? So this is where I was a bit worried. So as soon as Ram Charan did that freaking Prince of Persia Assassin's Creed jump over the barrel, I was like, oh, okay, so we're watching Singham. So this is a Singham type movie. All right, I guess, that was too much to hope for, that it won't be over the top. As soon as he goes into the crowd, the music cuts off. It's no music. You just hear crowd noise and how he is just bashing their heads in with that stick. And if there was music, music kind of tells the audience how to feel, right? Is it supposed to be heroic? Is it supposed to be sad? But Rajamouli taking the music out puts the onus on the audience to be like, okay, you thought Ram Charan was a hero. He looks like a hero. He looks like a leading man. But now he's fighting against his fellow man. How are you supposed to feel about it? I won't tell you how you're supposed to feel about it. I will take the music out completely. And then it goes into the crowd. You know the scene where everyone kind of piles onto him? And as that happened, I assumed we were going to get the famous superhero shot. In Bahubali, whenever someone comes up to someone, you kind of go, yeah, and he stands up and all the people burst out. I was waiting for that to happen. But then he doesn't do that. He stays in there. He stays in the pile of crowd. and we hear him come out of it in a very, I wouldn't say realistic, but maybe realistic. He takes them out one by one, breaks one's hand, I think, twists one's ear, and he comes out of it in a way that seems realistic. And also seems like it was a struggle for him to get out of it. So he's not a superhero. He's very, how can I put it? He's not immortal. He's vulnerable.
No, he's got conviction, though. He's got pure conviction in what he believes is right, and the way he's been groomed. So again, you could just basically relate back to the enemy, which is the English.
Exactly.
This is what they've turned our people into. But at the same time, it's like, you know, what you were saying about the music. The thing is, this is what the thing is. Music in movies is used to, you know, help people, you know, subconsciously feel and sets a mood and setting. But here, you didn't want to set none of that mood because everyone knows Ramcharan as the hero. He's bigger than life actor who's always the hero in his movies. He's powerful. He's strong. Throw that out the window, man. Well, even the music gives it away, though. It's a spoiler, unfortunately, because what music do you need to do? An entry music?
Exactly.
So, no. We don't want you to feel. We want you to see and let your own emotions kick in.
Yep.
Brilliantly done, me. And even then, I was like, what? I'm like, bro, even I was screaming at the screen when I saw that. I'm like, what? I hate you. I hated him. And I'm like, man, I hope he dies.
See, at no point did I think Ramcharan was a bad guy. That guy is too charismatic and good looking. I don't even know Ramcharan, dude. This is the first time I've seen this dude. But I knew he had a backstory that will explain everything. Right? So there was no point. I just thought, oh my God, he's a bad guy. That never occurred to me. But what I liked about the Rajamouli way of storytelling, going back to the crowd again, the crowd, if you notice, is completely muted colors, right? So it's almost like a zombie horde. They have no face. They have no identity. So it's very similar to the way Avengers do their action sequence. So if you look at Endgame, you don't give a shit if you're killing a bunch of insect people. Like, you know what I mean? There's no connection to it. So Rajamouli does a similar thing where it's kind of a zombie horde, but at the same time, because the music isn't so loud, you can hear what these people are thinking and how they're feeling. And because of the words that they say to the Ramcharan character, you know how we're supposed to feel towards Ramcharan. So they shout things like, you're a traitor, how can you do this? You know, blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff is happening. So we are learning from the crowd how to feel for the Ramcharan character. But the best thing is, the Sardar who throws that rock, he's the only one dressed in red. I love that choice because that is how the Ramcharan character is seeing his target. So once he's focused on his target, he's relentless. So if you see that scene, you will notice all the people are jumping on him, but his eyes, his vision is set on that dude. He is not looking anywhere else. He is like, he's going for his target no matter what comes in his way. And that is such a beautiful way to just, I mean, the character entry is cool, but it's also telling the story of what is going to happen in the future. Like we are finding out everything about the character through the character entry. And my favorite part is that he doesn't say a single word in the entire entry sequence. Dude. It's a completely silent film. You can watch that entire scene with the music turned off, and you will understand everything that's happening.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, this is what you have to give the acting of Ramcharan. You're looking at his facial expression when he's making those movements. It shows he's struggling, but he's still got the conviction to go because he's got a purpose.
Yeah.
And the way you said it, you know, even the guy in the red is, again, this is what comes down to, even in this movie, they paid attention to the costume tutorial. It's not about being period piece where it's, costume correct and accurate. Mm-hmm. But no, it's costumes are also colors.
Yeah.
And even there, you know, they painted that guy. It's almost like, hate to say this, man, bringing it down. We're going to talk about movies. Where's Wally?
Yeah, this is Where's Wally the movie. You're right.
Yeah, where's Wally? There he is in red. Get him. Yeah. You know, you can't move. You just know. And at the same time, you know, he's painted a bullseye and he told you what the target is without actually speaking to you. You know who's the target, and that's where he's going to get. So brilliantly done.
We spent an hour talking about just the opening sequence of those two. And another favorite part of mine was when the rock gets thrown at that picture of I think is King George. the fifth, one of the Georges, I don't know. Anyway, the guy who says, bring me that man, you can hear that his conviction goes away in that sentence. So his knee-jerk reaction is, arrest that man. Then he goes, and bring him to me.
Yeah.
he just kind of loses the conviction of his word, because he's like, there is no way anyone is going to be able to get that man here. But then obviously, he does. And my favorite way of ending that scene is when he does bring that Sikh dude and throws him onto the feet of that general guy. The Sikh dude is not scared of the English at the stage. He just looks at Ramcharan going, what the hell are you? So he's not even scared of the English at the stage. He's scared of that guy. And I love that. Again, just visuals. Nothing gets said. And obviously the pièce de résistance, the cherry on top of that scene, you would think after that action sequence, he would take leave of absence for the next couple of weeks. No. He goes back to his post, ready to fight again, I guess.
You know, one thing that made me laugh right after that, and I know most people are like, why did you laugh? It's what I've been hearing recently. Because I've been watching a lot of movie videos and other, and one of the things I found out is a lot of the special effects, BFS houses, that Hollywood movies use, are basically outsourced to India.
Yeah, of course.
So most of the outsourced. So why? Because Indian people are some of the hardest workers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bang on, mate.
Yeah. There's a lot of us out there, man. There's a lot of us out there. But it's kind of funny that it's special effects. We are not there yet, man. I mean, we will get to this in the next. Actually, let's just get to the next scene, because the NTR Ramarao entrance. I mean, there was something else I want to say before the NTR thing, but the tiger
go ahead.
is not good. It's okay. I mean, I will give it a solid 6 and 7 out of 10. But we know how a tiger moves, and that special effect does not make it look realistic. But I forgive it. You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh my God, that completely took me out of the scene. It did not. But for the split second I saw the tiger jump, I was like, yeah, the lighting isn't right. It's not quite there yet.
See, I think you're looking at it from a Western point of view. Yeah, I don't mean to judge you, but you're looking from. I'm looking at it from India. Don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near the Jungle Book.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
But compared to Bahubali and the elephants?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, even the bull, this was so much better.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But again, if we're playing at the level of the best films out there, I'm not going to give this a pass. I'm going to point out everything that's wrong. This wasn't. And the tiger was there for how long? Maybe 2-3 minutes? They could have given it to someone who could have just kind of spent the entire 2 years working on just the tiger motion and the tiger lighting and all that stuff. But fair enough. You know what? It was fine. It didn't take me out of the movie. But
I realized in life is the creative departments, when it comes to design and marketing, no one values those people until last minute.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry, man. I come from a background from them, so do you. No one values us at the end. It's just like, we've done it. Now you've got this much time before we have to meet the deadline, and
it's afterthought. Yeah, it's complete afterthought. Yeah. It's a shame. I mean, there are so many stories out there in Hollywood of how many, those special effect houses have shut down, and they've had like huge successful movies. I think the Life of Pi guys who made the Life of Pi movie, I think they won an Oscar, but by the time the year was out, they were out of business because they just didn't have enough money. Because this takes a lot of work, dude. But yeah, that work is not appreciated, so that's why slowly.
Yeah, it's just like at the beginning of this podcast when we were talking about the Black Panther.
Yeah,
even the people that worked on the visual effects, is that we had 2 weeks to do that because they changed the last minute on how they wanted the fight sequence to go.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for, bro. You get the time you give.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If these kind of movies get more popular, maybe these kind of houses will get more respect and slowly they will get the money.
I'm sorry. I don't agree with that, bro. The reason why I say that is look at the Michael Bay movies, man. Look at the Transformers movies.
Yeah, I don't watch them, so I don't know.
Well, anyone who watches them, I'm pretty sure they would agree, or you can put it down in the comment section. First movie, the special effects, the attention to detail, the robots look brilliant. As the movies go along, they made more money. He had a bigger budget. They just didn't look that good, bro. They just did. And the same thing he did with the Turtle movies, man. So big budget movies, you can, I mean, look at the Marvel movies, man. Big budget movies, and wow, they still have bad visual effects.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame, man. Again, visual effects should be used as part of the story. So again, so let's get back to the NTR scene, because we can talk about the state that movie industry is in, and it will just make us sad. But let's talk about something fun. So the NTR scene, the water scene. So in the fire version of the scene, we just get introduced to the character, right? So the first shot is a crowd of people, and then everyone falls down. One person stands strong, and the camera focuses on him, and we get introduced to this guy. But what Rajamouli does for the water sequence is we almost get an introduction to this character before we ever see the character, because he didn't have to do that. He could have just gone straight from fire to water, just to juxtapose the two visuals. But in this one, that Indian dude is telling that English dude about, oh, maybe you should give the kid back, because if you don't, there is this man who's going to come and get you. So he sets this guy as this big badass. And then we get introduced to the character. I love the shot, the upside down shot, the water. Beautiful.
It's the oh my god.
Okay, Paul, it's a great stylistic shot, but it also has storytelling elements to it, because he is water. You know what I mean? Like I will get into why he's water, etc. Later. But again, the way the Ramcharan character is introduced is through fire as well. Literally, I think the mashal. What's the English word for mashal? The light torch, whatever, gets hit on the gate, and then through that fire we see him. The same way, first time we see the NTR character, again, needs to be through his element, just to be like, this is not just a cool fire water thing that we're doing. We're trying to explain that's what their personality is like. So we get that beautiful thing. But interestingly, Ramcharan character is introduced in a close-up. So he's very internal. He's very locked into his personality, whereas NTR's character is reflected with his environment. So he is not just water. He is a part of the forest environment as well. So he's not shot in a close-up. He's shot in a wide shot. Beautiful. Love it. And then, oh man, dude, the wolf scene. I can write an essay on the wolf scene. It's done so well. Okay, so in the beginning, we have no idea what the hell is happening. The blood, I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then as soon as the wolf comes in, I was like, oh, interesting. He makes himself the bait. So he's not going to bait the wolf by anything else. And then the bait thing happens. And I had never seen NTR Ramarao, by the way. Don't know this dude from Adam. Yep, never seen him. Don't know anything about him. Didn't have any expectations of him. In this freaking 2 seconds, I knew he was a great actor, because as he's running away, he sees the footprint and he does this quick expression, just noticing the footprint and then looking around him. I think the scene lasts for less than 2 seconds. And in that tiny expression, I realized that, oh crap, there is another animal out there. Oh crap, I was not expecting this. Oh crap, I'm in trouble. In that 2 seconds, he conveys all of that. Beautifully done. Okay. And then it gets better. As he's running away, we see, like water, how adaptable he is. So even though things go wrong, he's willing to flow with it. And he changes his plan quickly. And then he's running. And I love how the tiger is shown running at tiger speed as well. Beautiful. Like he obviously can't freaking outrun a tiger. He barely makes it to the trap. Yeah. And again, beautifully told here is that just before, actually, I'm going to come back to this, but this line is very, very important. Just before he reaches the trap, we hear someone say, it's not a wolf, it's a tiger. Okay? So we know that they were waiting for the wolf in case there was any doubt, in case you miss NTR's acting. They just want to make sure they set the trap for a wolf, not a tiger. So when the tiger does get captured in it, the trap is not strong enough to hold a tiger. So it breaks. And then we see how quickly he's adapting. And, even when that stupid friend who's trying to help him with the potion that knocks out the tiger throws it in the wrong way, he still jumps, catches it, and then he throws it. NTR just shows that he's willing to just go with the flow. But okay, let's talk about the foreshadowing that he does, what Rajamouli does here. So the foreshadowing that's in the scene is that the wolf represents the British people and tiger represents Ramcharan. So the trap that they have set for the
Yes.
wolf is not the enemy in the end. In the end, the trap has somehow that it's basically they think they're fighting one enemy, but a bigger enemy comes in. And that's what the story is all about.
Yeah, the thing is, every scene there's a symbolism that goes, and this is what I love about it. The symbolism all the way through it is he's giving you nuggets of what the story is, and the thing is, this is what I like about it, as you were saying, that he keeps the theme continuously. He understands the theme of the movie, and he always tries and sticks to it, and always tries and show it. So every time,
both in visuals, as well as dialogue, as well as music.
See, this is a movie that everyone should be studying in media studies.
Absolutely. It sounds stupid. It sounds ridiculous, but it's so true. So the Bean character screaming at the lion is a badass shot, dude. Beautiful shot. It shows how powerful he is. But that's not the point of that shot. The point of the shot is later on during the Kumaram Bhimo song, when NTR is facing off Ramcharan. It's the exact same shot. You see what I mean? So he's basically reflecting that shot later on, and even subconsciously, the audience knows this now. So
when you see that shot, the emotion comes back in. This is just the thing about this guy. He's constantly thinking forwards and backwards at the same time. He's like, that shot is going to happen there. So here you need to be prepared.
Yeah.
But when I get to that step, he's going back and forth, maybe.
Yeah. And I can't believe I'm going to say this about this film. This movie is not subtle. This movie is not subtle at all. But at the same time, it's so freaking subtle. Like there was so much stuff happening under the layer that you would never see unless you watch this movie like 3 or 4 times and just analyze it.
This is a repeat. This is one of those movies where the repeated watching value is there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why, Hollywood makes so much money on movies is not because there's so many people going to see it. I mean, let's face it, only about 10% of audiences go and watch movies in cinemas. But the way they make money is because people see it so many times.
Yeah.
This is a movie you need to see so many times because there's always a new nugget that you get. And not even that, you get a better appreciation of something that you've already seen. And you're like, I see what it is. Because there's always new fits. Because the human brain is complex. It takes in everything, but then it releases different emotions at different times. Your brain will watch it again and again, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah. But the weird thing is, even if you don't engage the movie at that level, in the analytic level, like the way we are, we don't have to analyze the film if we don't want to. We can just enjoy the film on a surface level. It works on all levels. You can just watch it without knowing anything. You don't have to analyze this film at all, and the emotions are still there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
It's a discovery. It's a discovery. I mean, you don't have to analyze it, but just from a discovery point of view, you're like, oh, the wolf, the tiger's there, and you just coming out. Your brain, you don't have to analyze it. Your brain will be like, oh, the tiger's coming, so it's because of this. I like it. So again, even someone who doesn't analyze it, you can just pick up on something and you see something new. Because remember, when you're watching a movie, your attention span is focusing on different elements.
Absolutely.
Now, again, your attention span will be focusing on a different element, and then your brain does the rest where you like puts the connected tissue and you're not analyzing it, but you're like, oh yes, oh, I enjoyed it more.
I think discovering is better than analyzing. You're discovering new things about it. It's like meeting a person for the first time. When you first meet them, you get a first impression. You're like, oh, that's what they're about. When you get to know them a little bit more, a bit deeper conversation happen. The person does not change. You're just discovering more things about them. Great art, great film is like that. You can just find more layers to it if you're willing to engage with it, and if that piece of art has the substance and the depth in it. It's great, man. So what do you think about the NTR introduction scene?
Oh, I just loved it. I was waiting for that because I'm more of an NTR fan.
Okay.
Hey, I like Ramcharan. I like NTR.
Yeah.
I'm just a big fan of his, man. Anytime his movie's there, I have to watch it. It's just, it lived up to what I expected because the intensity, the way he just lost himself, because the other roles he's done are completely different. He just looking at the physicality, I'm like, Because I saw him from early days, early movies, man. I'm like, wow, he got in shape because he was not your typical actor, man. Like, who the hell gave him, movie career to be a leading actor? When you see his early movies, I'm like, what? And then you're like, over the years he's changing. Like, here it's like complete transformation. But again, I didn't see Junior NTR. I just saw a character that was really, jacked up and also preparing to do what he was doing. And then as soon as I saw the blood coming out, I'm like, what on earth is he doing covering himself? Yeah. And then you see being like, oh.
Yeah.
Now, again, the thing that I took away from that is whatever this guy is planning on doing,
yeah,
he's willing to put himself in harm's way just to get it done. So whatever his motives are,
yeah,
he believes in it 100%.
Yeah.
It's life or death to him because this was life or death.
Yeah. I loved it. There was everything about it. Yeah, completely. Yeah, it just took me to a different level, man. And also what I liked about it is, whereas in the Fire introduction, Ram Charan's character is completely isolated. He does not speak to anyone. You don't see anyone in his family. Even the old man that comes in when he doesn't get the promotion, you just see his reaction. So you don't know any connection between Ram Charan's character and the old man. You find out later on that he's from the same village, but for now you have no idea who that random dude is. But whereas the NTR character, you see that he's part of a community. He's doing things together with other people. He's part of an environment. And that also tells you a lot more about the character. But the best thing is where the Fire story ends with Ram Charan punching the bag, the NTR part does not end with the jungle scene. We get to find out what he is like as an infiltrating character in the real world, because his job isn't to just be a big badass. His job is to infiltrate and get Mali back. And we find out like he is undercover, but at the same time, even though he's a complete badass, he's not going to, how can I put this? He's not going to break his character, even though he could have beaten up that dude who was beating him up. He knows what the bigger purpose of his mission is, so he's subdued. And that's when the scene ends. You get to find out the character has more layers. Where
just his explanation is like, look, this guy is selfless.
Exactly.
Okay? He's not about him. It's about the overall goal, and it's about his people.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he's all about his people. He's all about his community. Yeah. So therefore, it doesn't matter what happens to him.
Yeah. And the best thing is, that's very similar to the Ram Charan thing, but we just don't know that yet. So even though it's fire and water, even though they're never going to meet, the best thing is fire and water is quite similar in a sense. Like they can unleash themselves. They can both create and they can both destroy. They can both kind of go with the flow, but at the same time they can destroy everything through their, in their way. But on the surface level, they look like diametric opposites. But later on, we find out that, what Ram Charan is doing is the same thing. He is working for his community. Like, he is doing this for his people. He's not doing this for selfish reasons, but we just don't know that. The way Rajamouli tells the story, he does not give us all the information straight away. He's slowly giving away.
But that's what I guess I like so much about this, because after, spending, current situation without going into it, is, stuck at home watching a lot of content, is you realize how there's people that just shove it in your face. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. We're trying to do this one, and it's all by dialogue. And I'm like, I don't want to see it. I would like to see it. Do me a flashback. Do me something like that. And here it's like he's not constantly beating you over the head with it. You know, telling you this is, but he's showing you in different forms. And that's the thing about it. It's a visual medium, but just because it's a visual medium doesn't mean it has to be visual all the time or has to be dialogues. You can show other stuff like with sounds, seeing visuals, scenery. So there's different elements that he's using. And he's using, I guess what you can say is he's like a kid in this sense where he's using all his toys.
Exactly. I was just about to say he's got more tools in his toolkit.
Exactly.
Than anyone else. He can use visuals, he can use music, he can use song, he can use action, he can use drama. He can use the great actors at his disposal just to show the expression on their face. He's not limited to anything. The way I described to one of my friends was, this is unshackled filmmaking. Like, he does not give a crap about what tradition of filmmaking is in the West, even in the East for that matter. He is able to put both of them together and create something better, something that's greater than the sum of his part. And he does it in a way that I haven't seen anyone else do, really. It's beautiful. Okay, but I think there is one other thing that I really liked. I didn't notice it until like the fourth or the fifth viewing, is when the introduction scenes end and we go back to the British part of the storytelling. The first line that the British guy says is, and that's the gist of it. And then he goes into talking about how to blah, blah, blah. What I like about it is, after the introduction sequence, Rajamouli is literally telling the audience, that's pretty much the gist of it, guys. Like, you know, there is a story, there is a fire, there is a water, these are the characters, that's the gist of it. And I love that. It's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek, kind of a wink at the audience. Like, guys, like, that's literally the gist of it.
Yeah, it's like a fourth wall breaking without direct breaking the fourth wall.
I love that. Yeah.
See, again, that's where it comes back to the mastery of his, you know, director hat. It's like, I'm doing this, but the people who can pick it up can pick it up. And you know it subconsciously, but you might not pay too much attention, but it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not talking down to the audience. He's never talking down to the audience. He does not think he's better than the audience. He wants to have a communication with whoever is watching the film in whichever way you get it. Absolutely beautiful.
This is where I think, you know, he's one director that I've seen, you know, with his movies. He focuses on the customer journey. Hate to bring it back to that, man. It's the journey that we follow as consumers, as viewers. Yeah. He's paying attention to that as well as telling the story. But he's making sure the end target is always on his mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I made so much money. Because the audience appreciated it and we watched it and we followed through and we enjoyed it.
Picture baki hai bhai.